Hi, friends. I'm glad you made it. This is Roanne. And if you've been following, we have been doing a series called Ask This Filipino Therapist. So, like it or leave a comment if you have any questions around Filipino culture, relationships, mental health, of course, everything under Filipinos, Filipinx, Filipino Americans. I welcome that and I will do my best to respond to your question. Now, for this video, the question is, Roanne, I have been seeing therapists and I feel like I've learned maybe a tool or two, but I'm not there yet. I feel like it hasn't really worked so much for me. What do I do? So first of all, I want to say that it's fantastic that you are seeking support, and the way that we really change this whole trajectory of the stigma in our culture, Filipino culture, when it comes to accessing care, is that you access care when you need the support because you have people around you, whether you have a partner, children, friends, and when you are willing to share, and that will be your prerogative to share. But when you do share, and even if you don't share, you know energetically that you're doing it. So thank you for doing that. Now, going back to the question, if you have been in therapy back to back, you've learned so many tools, it might be helpful to take a break. Now, of course, if you have symptoms where you really need support, like a risk for suicide and so self harm, of course, please find a therapist, a good fit therapist. But the number one is like, if that's not happening, maybe you need to take a break. Have you heard sometimes of people always in school, and so if they graduate, instead of looking for another job, they might go back and go to school again and study further. Or people who have projects, maybe you're thinking of writing a book, I don't know, releasing a course, but you're constantly looking for researching. So you're always in the research phase, so you don't get to the action part. So it might be helpful to take a break so that you can practice more. It's not about having a collection of so much tools. They're like toys, right? But finding 1 to 5 toys or tools you could actually play with so that you can really hone that skill. You are not honing the skill to play with those toys, but for you to find, to elicit this playfulness within you. So take a break. That might be something that might be helpful. Second, maybe it's not a good fit therapist, right? So look for a better match. You do that by setting an appointment for a consult. Most therapists give a complimentary consult so you can ask them questions. Sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, because if you're in a dark room and someone asks you, okay, what do you need? Unless you light up a candle and you can see a little bit, that's when you know what questions to ask. But now that you have much more information, because you said you've seen other therapists, now you are more equipped to ask questions like, what's your style? What do you do in case of this? So ask away, but more importantly, see if your personality match with the therapist. When I do my complimentary consult, it's not just about the client matching with me. I'm also doing the same. I want to make sure that ethically, that when we accept each other, it's like an invitation for you and I, that when we accept that invitation, it's a really good fit. I know I could confidently support that person. So that second, find a better fit therapist. If you have been in a program, or even if it's not a program, but a therapist that just use one modality. Modality means their approach, that's their tool. So they might give you so many tools, and that's one approach that they do, is that basically if you're in a hole, they're basically handing you tools dropping you tools so that you can climb your way up back on the top. So find a healer who is not married, who's not in love with their modality. And I say that with all tenderness for your sake, because again, you're not a case to manage, but a person to connect with. What happens is that, especially when there's a program and it doesn't work based on what is marketed, it almost feels like, now, wow, I'm just not enough, right? It worked with everybody else except for me. So be mindful that that's being lured into marketing. If anyone tells you that the same thing is perfect for everyone, of course, there is no absolute. People are not cannot be bottled into a formula. So that type of absolute is not true. So look for a healer who's flexible. So rather than there's a program that you have to adhere to, for me, the role of a therapist is to be malleable and flexible enough so that they pivot their way to what works for you rather than it's the other way around. So to summarize, the first one is find a good fit therapist. Ask questions, get a feel. Secondly, you might need to take a break. And finally, just for this the purpose of this video, is to find a healer that is malleable, is willing to pivot, and that takes experience. So I hope you're on your way to your own healing. And thank you for taking a listen. If you're looking for a therapist, I'll drop the complimentary consult link in the show notes below. So take good care of yourself. Bye now.